Howdy folks, so as many of you know, I have a bit of a reputation. I'm the ELO farmer, and over time that label has gotten a range of reactions. Some people don't care, some people mildly dislike it, and some people get genuinely viscerally angry when they see me doing it, like really mad. But before I get into any of that, before I talk about what I learned or whether it was worth it, I want to make sure we're on the same page about what ELO actually is in the game. There are two types of ELO in warbrokers, kills ELO and games ELO. Games ELO is based on wins and losses. Your team wins, it goes up. Your team loses, it goes down. It changes slowly, only updating at the end of a full round, and it's honestly the more accurate of the two. Kills ELO, on the other hand, is based on individual performance, who you kill and who kills you. Kill someone with a higher ELO than you gain a lot. Kill someone lower, you gain little. Same thing in reverse for deaths. It moves fast and it swings wildly. Now, here's the thing that trips people up. The ELO system was originally designed for zero-sum games like chess. Warbrokers is not a zero-sum game, so these numbers were never meant to be a perfect measure of skill. They're useful. A lower skilled player will still trend low, and a higher skilled player will trend high, but they can't properly rank everyone the way people assume they can. When I say I was ELO farming, I'm talking about kills ELO specifically. Now, the misconceptions. You've always been an ELO farmer. No, it's not true. If you go back and look at the older videos on my channel, I've historically played aggressively and taken fights head on. The ELO farming period was a relatively short phase in the broader timeline of how I've played. What people tend to do is isolate that stretch, treat it as the defining trait, and then retroactively project it onto everything that came before it. It just doesn't make sense. And to be direct about it, even outside of that period, I'm a strong player. My kills ELO has typically sat in the high 1800s to low 1900s range. That's where I was before I started farming, and that's where I roughly am whenever I stopped. The bracket is comfortably within the top few percent of players. So reducing everything to the ELO farmer ignores the fact that I can consistently compete in real fights at a high level. The farming wasn't a replacement for skill, it was an additional layer placed on top of an already established base. There's also an important nuance here that often gets missed. I play as a sniper. That naturally means I operate at range rather than constantly pushing into close quarters engagements. So even in normal play, I'm not someone who mindlessly rushes into the center of every fight. But that's very different from farming. A sniper is still actively participating in the match. ELO farming was not that. That was disengagement from actual play in favor of preserving a number. When I snipe, I'm engaged with what's happening. I'm just doing it on my terms and the way I want to. That context is also part of why I even did it in the first place. I had already been playing for years and was already sitting in the 1900 range. At that point, it became a deliberate experiment. How high could I get my kills ELO? It was a choice made from a position where I already understood my baseline and wanted to explore something different. It wasn't fun for you. You weren't enjoying the game. Also not true. I genuinely enjoyed farming ELO. It gave me a clear metric, something to focus on, something to improve at. And I know what some of you are thinking. Well, the UIGS, why not just focus on K to D ratio? Because K to D ratio naturally went up alongside my ELO farming statistics. It wasn't either or. One fed into the other. Alright, so throughout my entire time ELO farming, people kept asking me the same question. When is enough enough? How high do you have to get before you stop? And my goal from the very beginning was to take the record. The highest kills ELO ever achieved. That was the line. Now, the person who held that record was Lucky. And Lucky hit a kills ELO of 2234.97. That number is unfathomably high. To put that in perspective, a kills ELO of 1800 already puts you in roughly the top 1 to 5% of active players. Lucky was over 400 points beyond that. But here's the thing. His method involved creating alternate accounts, leveling them up, and then farming kills off of those alts. If you look at the top of the leaderboard, some of those names are, well, most of those names are Lucky's alts. And most, if not all, are banned for cross-teaming. Which brings me to an important clarification, because I think people can confuse two separate things. ELO farming itself is not against the rules. The method you use can be. Lucky's method was. It's a critical distinction. I did not use alternate accounts. I did not cross-team. I didn't do any of that, not just because I didn't want to get banned, but because even having an alternate account is forbidden. So my approach was different. I stayed stealthy. I hid. I kept my base. Now, I forget exactly when, but at some point during all of this, Lucky himself reached out to me. We talked for a while. I've unfortunately lost the direct message history, so I'm working off of memory here. But he shared a video of himself farming ELO, and he confirmed, openly, that he had been banned and that he used alternate accounts to do it. He was very straightforward about it. But then he said something really interesting. He pointed out that since his method was against the rules, his record effectively carried an asterisk. His score was achieved through illegitimate means, banned accounts, cross-teaming. It was the highest number on the board, sure, but it wasn't a legitimate record. So if someone could surpass every other legitimate player, every player who earned their score the real way, then the true record would belong to them. That clicked for me. I didn't need to beat Lucky's raw number. I needed to surpass every legitimate player in the game. I needed the highest real kills ELO ever achieved. Lucky's score would still sit on the board, but it would come with an asterisk. Mine wouldn't. And on top of that, I'll be honest, many people had been in my ear about the farming, telling me to give it up, telling me to stop. That only made me want to hit the mark faster so I could walk away clean. On March 27th, 2025, I got the record. 2,172 kills ELO, the highest legitimate kills ELO in warbrokers history. That was a happy day for me. But here's what happened after. Once I had the record, I started playing more aggressively again. I loosened up, and my ELO began a slow, steady trend downward as I shifted back towards being in the fray. I kept playing that way for months, and eventually, on August 25th, 2025, I officially called it. ELO farming was over. So, what did I learn, and was it worth it? I think that overall, the goal itself was worth pursuing. Having a clear target and working toward it gave the game a new dimension for me, and I don't regret that part. But if I'm being honest, I probably should have listened to the backlash and stopped earlier. Because the reality is, even after all this time, many people still call me an ELO farmer. The label stuck, and that's a cost I didn't fully anticipate. To be frank, it was a difficult journey, and I think someone with a higher skill would have had an easier time of it. I made it work, but it wasn't pretty. And recently, a player named Invis101 has been catching my attention. He's a genuinely great player, and he's been gaining ELO the right way. Not farming, not ulting, just raw skill. Right now, as I'm recording this video, he's at whatever you see on the screen here, and honestly, it's impressive to watch. Maybe by the time this comes out, he will have surpassed my record. Who knows? Overall, knowing what I know now, the backlash, the reputation that followed me, the way people still see me, I probably wouldn't have done this from the beginning. But at least I hold the record. Until Invis passes me.